Welcome to Let's Talk Bayfront, a lunchtime chat about the transportation projects happening along the Bayfront Parkway in the city of Erie. I'm your host today, Saxon Daugherty, filling in for Jill Harry, and I'm the Safety Press Officer for the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation's Northwest region. It's wintertime in Erie County, so we all know what that means, more snow, winds, and unpredictable weather. And oftentimes, PennDOT suspends construction work during these cold months with plans to return to those efforts as soon as the forecast permits in the spring, usually around April. Now, that's obviously not the case with our Bayfront Parkway Central Corridor project this year. And in today's episode, we have members of the PennDOT construction team who will give an update on what work is currently happening within the Central Corridor and how they determine what work can be done when the temperatures are hovering around freezing and we have snow in the forecast. But before we dive into our discussion, a reminder for those that are listening live. You can submit questions through the program by using the Q&A chat box feature at the top of your screen. And as time allows, we will get to as many of those questions on today's topic as we can. You can also turn on captions by clicking on the button next to the Q&A section and choosing Show Live Captions. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and turn to today's discussion. And we're going to welcome back to the show two familiar voices for those that have been longtime listeners of this program. But just for those that might be new to this, we're going to start with Michelle Fugagli and then Doug Fry. So Michelle, take it away.
So good afternoon. My name is Michelle Fugagli. I am a senior civil engineer supervisor and the current project manager of the Central Bayfront Project while Justin Baker is off. I started my career at the department in 2015 as a construction inspector and worked my way up to my current position. I'll pass it off to Doug.
Thanks, Michelle. Hello, Doug Fry here. I am the senior assistant construction manager for the project. I am 29 plus years with PennDOT, bounced back and forth between construction and maintenance over the years. And so we'll get started.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys for those brief introductions. And we're going to go ahead and just dive right in. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners wondering, it's pretty common probably for us to have multi-year projects, but is it common to suspend work during certain months out of the year?
So yes, it is common to have multi-year projects within our district, and it is also common to what we call a winter shutdown, which is when we suspend work during multi-year projects when the winter weather creates harsh conditions that take a large toll on our materials, equipment, and work crews. So during these times, work is suspended due to it creating deficiencies in our large-scale productions.
Cool. Well, in northwestern Pennsylvania, we don't usually get the nicest weather in the winter, but when we can take advantage of it and be productive, it's a great thing to see. Now, obviously, in the case of the Bayfront project, it was decided to move ahead and not do a season suspension. So can maybe somebody go into the reasoning for that decision?
Sure, I can speak to that. We identified some work that could be done this winter that would help us with some of our schedule recovery. Just work that, of course, we were hoping for a winter like we've had the last couple years. So we haven't been able to get as much done as we thought we would in the fall, but we have been able to get a few things done to help us with the schedule recovery.
Okay. So yeah, like you were mentioning, we've had some mild winters in recent years, but that has not been the case at all in 2024 and 2025. Started out with the big Thanksgiving snowstorm, and we haven't really had much time to breathe in between. But just with seems like constant waves of snow, high winds, cold temperatures, and most recently some ice storms that have made their way through the region. So how did or perhaps does the unpredictability of those weather conditions in the winter factor into the planning process?
I can answer that. So as mentioned earlier, winter is a harsh season for construction operations. One being for worker safety, especially. Winter weather brings frigid temperatures and snow. This will increase what we call warm-up time for our crews to help avoid them contracting any cold weather illnesses or injuries. Cold temperatures also increase the warm-up time and efficiency of our diesel equipment. In addition to worker safety and equipment, most of our construction materials also have restrictions that they cannot be placed in below 40-degree weather or wet weather, and this limits the operations we can achieve. That is not the only thing on the construction site. Another key point that takes a large role into our winter planning is the safety of the traveling public. We must ensure that our roadwork areas are kept in a fashion to allow snowplows to travel through the site, and also keeping lane widths for the traveling public.
And kind of to expand on that as well, I mean, the 4 and 5 feet of snow that we had really impacted the accessibility to where we need to work. With have to stack the snow somewhere off the roadway, and usually that's where we're working is adjacent to that. So that's affected our production and production rates this winter.
Yeah, and just Michelle, thanks for touching on those points. I know safety is a priority in everything that PennDOT does. So it's nice to hear that we prioritize safety both for our crews that are out there working in those conditions, but also the traveling public as they pass through some of those work sites. So now, when we do have time to work and the weather does cooperate, what types of work can we accomplish in the winter months?
Well, like you said, it all depends on the weather, but generally excavation and utility work can be done during the winter. Some bridge work, I guess if you're outside the water, can be done. Some forming and pouring of foundations and piers can also be done, pouring concrete, but there are also some special requirements to keep that pour warm so it cures properly. So there's extra work that has to be done to do operations with concrete in the winter.
Now, kind of backtracking for a second, are there any other additional winter weather precautions that workers have to follow during ongoing projects like the one on the Bayfront?
Yes, of course. Working crews are regularly monitoring the winter weather and extended forecasts to best prepare for these conditions and schedule our operations accordingly. As mentioned before, this includes additional time worked into their schedules for warming up their equipment and also giving their workers breaks from the frigid temperatures and winter conditions. And then in addition to that, the work crews also have safety programs developed specifically for working in winter weather conditions that they follow as well.
Right. Now, since there are basically three major intersection reconstructs included in the Bayfront project, so Sassafras, State, and Holland, it is almost like three projects grouped into one. That has to increase the likelihood of unanticipated challenges, does it not?
It does. I mean, anytime you work at an intersection in a city, you always find, whether it be unexpected utilities, abandoned utilities, which you have to take care and caution, and identify which ones are abandoned, which ones are live. Usually also find things that weren't constructed, on the original plans. A lot of times we have the original plans to work off of, but it might have been a field change. So you run into unexpected challenges there to get around, get over, get under, whatever it takes to get the job done, to complete the work that we need to get done.
And I just wanted to touch too on the State Street closure right now that we have in place. Is that something that's going to remain in place for a little bit?
Yeah, that work is ongoing. With the weather the way it has been, our production hasn't been exactly what we thought it was going to be. So yes, that's going to remain in place for a while.
And I think it's important just to reiterate for our listeners that despite that closure, there still will be full access to all the hotels and restaurants and other businesses along the waterfront side, just using the West Front Street extension for access. Now, again, shifting gears a little bit, when the weather hopefully breaks soon in the spring, and I know we're all hoping for an early spring, despite what Punxsutawney Phil had to say a few weeks ago, what will likely be the first work that people will notice outside of the ongoing utility relocation?
So as you've seen from this previous year, we began the construction of the Sassafras Street roundabout. So we are currently planning to continue work on completing the remainder of the Sassafras Street roundabout, starting on the structures on the northeast corner of Holland Street intersection, and then also continuing drainage updates throughout the project, as well as miscellaneous painting, planning, and earthwork.
Great. Yeah, I'm sure that's exciting just to see the progress as we continue to work towards hopefully nicer weather in the spring. And we do have a question that was submitted because we did receive a question prior to the show today, and they were asking about line painting. Is that something that we can actually accomplish during the winter weather months?
No, it's not. Like Michelle referenced earlier, a lot of the materials can't be placed, below 40 degrees or freezing. Line painting is actually something that has to be 50 degrees, and of course it has to be dry. With the amount of snow we have out there, if we do happen to get a day that's 50 degrees, we have a lot of snow melt, which causes wet road conditions. So it's going to be a little while before we can get the lines painted, and we tried putting down some temporary markings, and I don't think they lasted beyond the first plow truck, but we're aware of it. We do have that scheduled with our subcontractor that does that work. As soon as we have the right conditions, we will get that done.
Thanks for clarifying that, Doug. We do have another question. When you said structure at Holland, does that mean you will start on the pedestrian bridge in the spring?
Yeah, the contractor's plan now is to get started with the foundation for the north side, is what's on their current schedule. I mean, they will be focused on mainline for the most part, but if they have a crew available, they're going to start on the foundation for the structure.
Okay, great. And I don't think we have any other submitted questions from our audience today. So I just want to say thank you to Michelle and Doug for all the project updates today and taking a few minutes to chat with us here over our lunch period. And thank you to everyone who is joining us live and for those that will be listening to the recording. And as we talked about at length, the project will continue through the winter as weather permits. So we'll be planning the next episode of Let's Talk Bayfront accordingly. And we will announce the date on the project Facebook group, on our Regional X account, 511 PA Erie, as well as on the project webpage, pendot.pa.gov/Bayfront Parkway Project. In the coming days, we will be posting this episode on the website alongside the other episodes from this year, where you can go and listen on demand. And if you have any other questions about the Bayfront projects or would like to suggest a topic for future episodes, you can do so through email. The address for that will be bayfrontproject@pa.gov. So thank you again to our guests, and thank you to Stephanie for helping to produce today's episode. And thank you again for everybody listening. Have a great rest of your day.